Hey everyone, let's talk about something that could have a massive impact on your wallet: Trump's new tax proposal. Now, you might have heard about it already, but here's the short version. No federal income tax for anyone making under $150,000 a year. That's right, zero. And on top of that, no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime pay, and possibly even a tax break on car loan interest. Sound great, right? Well, there's a lot more to this than just extra cash in your paycheck. There's some big questions about how this would actually work and what it could mean for Social Security, Medicare, and the overall economy. So, is this a financial lifeline or a risky move that could backfire? Let's break it all down. And if you find this kind of content helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future updates. So, let's start with the basics. If this plan were to go through, millions of Americans would stop paying federal income tax altogether. That means if you're making, say, $80,000 a year, you could be looking at an extra $10,000 or more in your pocket. For someone making closer to the $150,000 mark, that number could jump to around $24,000. And if you work in a service industry where you rely on tips, this could be a huge deal since Trump's plan would make tips completely tax-free. This is meant to put more money into the hands of everyday workers, giving them more spending power and, in theory, stimulating the economy. But here's the issue. The federal government relies on income taxes to fund key programs like Social Security, Medicare, and national defense. Right now, payroll taxes alone make up nearly 90% of Social Security's funding. If those taxes disappear for the majority of Americans, where does that money come from? Well, Trump and his economic advisors have suggested some alternative sources of revenue. One of the biggest ideas they've floated is increasing tariffs on imported goods, meaning higher taxes on product from foreign countries. The idea is that instead of taxing your paycheck, the government would collect revenue from businesses that import products, which, in theory, would bring in billions of dollars. But here's the catch. Tariffs don't just affect businesses, they get passed down to consumers. If companies have to pay higher taxes on imported goods, they'll likely raise prices to make up the difference. So, while you might save thousands of dollars in income tax, you could end up paying more at the grocery store, at the gas pump, and on everyday goods. That's why some experts say this tax shift could actually hurt middle-class Americans in the long run. Another idea being floated is cracking down on corporate tax loopholes. Trump's team has pointed out that many multinational corporations avoid paying taxes by storing their profits in countries with lower tax rates, like Ireland. The administration claims that stricter enforcement on these companies could generate billions in revenue. But many economists argue that even if these loopholes were completely shut down, it wouldn't be enough to cover the loss of revenue from eliminating income taxes. Now let's talk about the political side of things. Trump supporters see this as a game-changing policy that would provide real relief for working Americans. Many conservatives believe that if people keep more of their own money, they'll spend more, invest more, and grow the economy. But critics argue that this plan is fiscally irresponsible. They point out that shifting the tax burden away from the majority of Americans means that the remaining taxpayers, those making over $150,000 a year, could end up carrying a much heavier load. Some worry this could create an unfair system where a small percentage of Americans pay the majority of federal taxes, while everyone else contributes nothing. And then there's the concern about Social Security and Medicare. If payroll taxes disappear, these programs could face serious financial trouble. One possible outcome? Social Security and Medicare could be forced to undergo massive changes, possibly even moving toward privatization. Some analysts believe that's the real long-term goal here, to gradually reduce government-funded programs and push people toward private retirement and healthcare options. If that's the case, it could mean big changes for retirees and those nearing retirement age. But let's not forget, this is still just a proposal. This would have to pass through Congress, and that's no small task. While the House has already supported major tax cuts, the Senate remains a battleground. Some lawmakers, even conservatives, are hesitant to back a plan that doesn't have a clear way to replace the lost revenue. And with concerns about a possible recession on the horizon, there's a real debate over whether now is the right time for such a drastic tax overhaul. So what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're someone making under $150,000, this could mean more money in your pocket, at least in the short term. But the big question is what happens in the long run? Would this create more economic growth, as Trump's team claims, or would it lead to rising debt, inflation, and cuts to essential programs? That's the real debate here. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think this is a great idea that would help everyday Americans, or do you think the risks outweigh the benefits? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this discussion helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on important financial topics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.